Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 197 of the Super Weapon Podcast, most overpowered podcast on the internet. It's your boy Darius the Artist. We got a great guest lined up today, Mr. Iron Bangle, and of course we got our dirty casual, my guy DC.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, Bangle, how are you doing today, man? Thank you for taking the time to come hang out. Long overdue, man. I've
Hey,
been
man, I
telling
appreciate
DC.
it. I appreciate it. I love your show. It's always been one of my favorite things to listen to week.
Oh, that's
It's
awesome, man. Thank you.
YouTube subs. You guys got to get on Spotify though, because that's where I listen to a lot of my podcasts.
Well, you know what's crazy? It's it's funny you mentioned that. So when Spotify got bought out a couple of weeks ago, or Anchor bought out,
Anchor.
I think Spotify bought out Anchor. There's something's wrong with our account, so we've been trying to get it back on.
Yeah, we was posting on there, and now I
Yeah.
feel shame because I forgot again.
Yeah, it was
Like, we've been
something
having
wrong with
password
merging the
issues, man.
accounts, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll get that. Spotify is a great platform.
Okay, look.
man, but-
Tonight, I will fix it. I will figure it out. I'm gonna find out what the problem is today. Damn it.
Good old
But no,
Spotify, man.
Big fan of your show, man. What you guys do is great. I remember coming across here because I just randomly put. I'm like, I need a gaming podcast, and DC's like, "Yo, check us out," and I'm like, I
That's
never look
awesome.
back. Never had to go looking for any more podcasts. So, you guys are my gaming source.
Hey, man, we appreciate that, man. I mean, it's. When I first DC, he's always been kind of like the scout, the guy always out in the content streets, man, meeting people. And he first told me about you, man. I really did appreciate the kind of content you've been creating. There's so many people that kind of do this, as we know, every single day. But I like that you seem like you really kind of have an identity for the type of content that you want to make, and especially like your YouTube stuff, like we were talking about your golf videos. Before we
appreciate
started recording, man. So what was it that kind of got you into content creation or gaming? Like where did that kind of start for you, man? Like,
Started where I think a lot of people in this last run started COVID. I honestly did not know anything about content creation, at least gaming content creation. I've always known
Yeah.
about YouTube, and being YouTuber for me always meant you had to make funny skits, this, that. And I didn't even really know about gaming content too much.
right.
And then even before COVID, I had kind of retired from gaming. Like I literally bought a Switch 2 months before COVID shut down everything. Just because I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna be doing a little bit of traveling for work and stuff this year, so let me get a Switch. And I was always into like small indie platformer games.
Right.
Then COVID hit, we're all locked at home, and I'm like, you know what, I don't think I'm gonna be traveling much this year. Let me sell my Switch. Apparently got a better price for it selling it than I did buying it, so felt kind of like smart for that. But having to say, bought a video card. I've always been a PC gamer since I was a kid. Always built. My
That's
own PCs,
interesting.
just-
You're one of our first guests that kind of went to PC. Right. I know DC did as well. That's interesting. Was it like one of your parents, or they just kind of got you into PC gaming, or
PC. I was just always a nerd.
okay.
My dad bought a PC. Like this was in 1992. He got a PC for work, and then when he set it up at home, he was trying to use it for work, and I found a way to get games on it, and then I was just like in grade 1 or grade 2, hacking away at it, trying to learn how to game on it properly, and I felt like everything just self-taught. Started finding new ways to get games on it that didn't cost me too much. Won't get into that too much, but yeah, just like learning how to play games on PC really got me. And I've
Yeah.
always been like a computer guy, which I guess is filling some kind of stereotypes. But I've always been into just
Nah.
super nerdy with PCs, right? Like I was always coding and hacking, and it just kind of set. I had PC, so we started playing like Doom and Half-Life and all those.
Yeah, dude, it was a
Starcraft.
classic.
Doom, Duke Nukem. The good
Oh
old
man, don't
days.
get me started on Duke Nukem 3D. I love that game. Like, if you were to ask me my fondest gaming memories as a kid, it was like playing Duke Nukem multiplayer with my friend across the
Yes,
street,
yes,
and
me
we
too.
would and we would literally just like,
Wait, can I ask you this?
yes, sir.
On Duke Nukem, the multiplayer,
Yes.
did you find the secret room? It was a two-way wall, and you could shoot people when they walked past, but they couldn't tell where you were coming from.
I can't. No, I don't remember that.
Oh my God, I was a cheater. I found this wall, and my sister, because we did the same thing, like big computer nerd. My step pops taught us how to build PCs. So me, my sister, and my father, we would he had his computer. We just had a network in the house, and all my friends would come over, and man, it was like the hub for like multiplayer. Some of my first multiplayer experiences was Duke Nukem. And
Yeah.
I found that wall, and like I would be in my room and I would close the door because I didn't want nobody to know where I was at.
Don't see
So
much.
they'll run past and I'll just keep shooting them. They're like, "Where is he at?" They was like, "You're hacking, you're hacking." I was like, "No, it's in the game. You just have to find it." But
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, because at that time there wasn't like this thing where you had to get someone's IP to play with them.
Right.
And so it was like me and like a few friends from across the street. Once they got their PC set up, I was like, look, we could play Duke Nukem. I was mostly just Duke Nukem and Age of Empires. We just played that for hours.
Okay.
A lot of times it was just like we think. No, I'm thinking Doom. But Duke Nukem had a rocket launcher, and we'd go to the final boss level, and it was just like 4 of us shooting rockets at each other. Kind of. As a kid, that was like the best thing ever. I'm like, it wasn't sweaty. It was just rockets everywhere. And yeah, so.
Be able to play against each other at that time, that was such a big deal.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
to play against each other and not literally like not
different
couch
time
co-op.
too. Yeah, I was just about to say like
Yeah.
a lot of kids don't, and I think that's like a really cool and interesting thing about content creation. How and shout out to Lango's brother, he's in chat as well. Was talking about how COVID got him back into gaming, you know, because everyone was just at home and you know, a lot of people were working from home and you just needed something to kind of distract yourself from that. And, you know, whether it was content creation or gaming, it seems like a lot of people kind of found their way back into that, which I think is cool, man, because like I said, I think it's brought a lot of cool stuff out of you. Just as, you know, like I said, I do enjoy watching your YouTube videos and your takes on Halo and stuff. Like, you know, you do have such a wide, you know, variety of content that you like to shoot. Is that stuff you're just kind of interested in the moment? Because you know, typically people will try to niche especially down, for like YouTube, they'll try to niche down. But you know, I like that you're just kind of putting up what you want because it's showing that you know you genuinely have a passion and care for what you're doing.
Yeah. So just to go back a little bit, COVID hit, started playing Warzone, obviously, because that's what everyone got. Started posting clips with my friends.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then
the 1v1s.
Yeah, so once you take these clips, it's like, hey, do you know about Twitch? I'm like, yeah, I've heard of it. It's an option in my PS, but I've never watched Twitch. It was never something I actually kind of did. So then all of a sudden I'm streaming and I'm sitting, and then, you know, fast forward, it's like, well, now put stuff on YouTube. And yeah, then YouTube becomes a game because you guys probably experienced this with how analytically driven and the algorithm.
Yeah, the infamous YouTube algorithm. Yeah.
So then I started learning that, and all of a sudden it was like niche down, make one type of content, people are gonna find you. And then I started trying that, and I'm like, but you know, I'm bored of this. I have a short attention span, so niching down into anything just becomes tricky. I watch content from certain creators. I'm like, all right, now they're just making content for the sake of having to make content. Like,
yeah.
And so I was like, do I make a new channel for every type of content I want to make? But then I'm going to have like, so it got tricky for me. And then, cool stuff. I want to share what interesting me at whatever given time.
Right.
I was definitely going to ask that too, because I noticed that with your content, it's kind of, it's in the moment. That's what I like to say. It's like,
that's a good way to put it.
Like you're talking about things, various things, and I like that because you'll go from like hip hop to what I really enjoy, because like I just enjoy learning about other people's culture and where they're from. So you'll do news clips and things about people I never even heard of, but it's an interesting listen because I'm taking away something from it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you talk about someone, I'm like, oh, let me look this person up. Let me see what he's talking about here. And one of the things that I wanted to touch on this episode, like I said, we may have to do a 2-part because you're a man, you're a multifaceted guy. Like, you're over in Canada. Yes, I kind of wanted to get a little history of Iron Bangle. Like, who are you? outside of the content? Like, who are you as a person? Where are you from? And things of that nature, man, because I think that's important because in our community that we have here, we have people from Canada, Russia, all different parts of the world. So, and I take pride in that because I
Yeah.
feel like we all can learn from each other, like just learn about each other's culture, cultural differences, and stuff like that. So, who is Iron Bangle outside of the content?
So who is Iron Bangle outside the content? So Iron Bangle outside of content is Shinda Singh. How that's always been that's my nickname actually. But that's my name, Shinda. Uh and outside of content, obviously now I'm a father of two. I grew up in a small suburb that's like 40 minutes outside of Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
That it's called Brampton, and Brampton has an interesting reputation because it's
Oh, the video. I watched
yeah,
the video.
Brampton's got an interesting reputation because Brampton itself it's a very heavy Punjabi Indian suburb,
Oh, okay.
and then but it's 40 minutes outside of Toronto. So a lot of people from Brampton used to say, you know, I'm from Toronto, and then you find out online everyone in Toronto is just like, oh, Brampton, that's you know we don't like that place, and you're like, obviously you catch like the racist undertones attached to that,
Yeah.
but you're like whatever. And Brampton itself is an interesting place because it's got a very mixed socioeconomic thing where there's a lot of people who live like they look like they live rich, but they're kind of house poor.
Also, it
Parents
sounds
are
a lot
all
like Atlanta.
yes, like everyone's. It looks flashy because you see these big houses, and all of a sudden you realize, oh,
Yeah.
it's flashy because there's like 4 families living in one house, and that's how they're making things ends meet. Um, and because of that, and because it's just it became very heavily
Right.
minority culture. So there's a big Punjabi population here, a big Caribbean population here, uh, Italian culture and Italian communities like right around the corner in this adjacent cities. So you get this hodgepodge of cultures, just and everyone just kind of not knowing who they become because we just everyone becomes everyone to a degree.
All right.
Yeah.
And then you get your own culture out of that. So Brampton had this bad rep, but at the same time, there's so much talent that comes out of Brampton that I'm at the point now where I actually like saying, "Hey, I'm from Brampton, not Toronto." But obviously, Toronto's still home because Toronto's the big city with all the
Right.
big sports teams, and then Toronto itself has like an identity problem because it's
I
always
saw
kind
that
of
too.
trying to
Yeah.
it's always trying to prove itself in the grander scheme of North American cities, right? People say it's a New York wannabe light type thing or thing. So Drake, I bring up Drake. He really did kind of put that Toronto on his back the way he did. A lot of celebrities, when they come from Toronto, they move out, and all of a sudden you don't even know
That's
that they're from
super
Toronto,
interesting
right?
when you say that. What was it
And there's a
like?
lot of
You
celebrities
know,
too from Toronto.
yeah, like
Yeah,
what was that like during the rise? You know, living in or near the city, or you know, when he kind of rose to prominence, or you know, just like there were a couple other artists, just like DC said, you know, Nav from out of there, you know, he makes good
yeah.
music as well. Like what was the feeling around the city, you know, seeing that?
I'm kind of the wrong person to ask because I was never a Drake fan, right? Uh,
No,
I,
you can keep it real. Like
Yeah,
if
there's
you
nothing wrong
wasn't
with that.
feeling
Yeah.
it, yeah, you can say
So
that. Like,
I feel like I missed out on the Drake vibe, like the Drake wave,
Yeah.
to a degree because I met Drake, and this is like there's an arcade, a very popular arcade. They call them Palladiums. They're owned by Sega, and like this was right after he released his mixtape, his double mixtape, and I was with some friends, and they're like, "Yo, that's Drake," and I was like, "Who?" They're like the guy from Degrassi. So I knew him from Degrassi because Degrassi was a really popular show here.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So before he was Drake, he was Jimmy from Degrassi, and they're like, "Yo, that's the guy in the wheelchair from Degrassi." I'm like, "Oh," and he was there. He had just released his mixtape. I think he had just signed, and this is when his buzz. It wasn't starting to grow, but people knew who he was. It was like a very
Yeah.
popular mixtape, and so he's just there at the arcade with like his boys and his security. And I'm like, well, you know, he must be big if he has security with him.
Yeah,
But he was
gotta
kind
have
of
some
like people went,
success. Yeah.
yeah, people were going up to him. He was taking pictures with them. Very nice guy. But I wasn't listening to that mixtape, so I was just, and I tried listening to the mixtape, and it just wasn't my music. It was very R&B ish.
Yeah.
see, yes, see, I like rap Drake.
Yeah,
I don't like singy Drake, but go on.
so this is Singy Drake releasing this mixtape, and I was like, it's fine, whatever. I'm not hating on him, but
Right.
you
No,
see,
you like what you like. Yeah, you know.
yeah, and so you see
know.
like he definitely had an impact on the city though, because with once Drake started becoming big and popular, he's hosts OVO Fest in the summers here,
Yeah,
right around
which
the
is
same
really
time
big.
Caravana, and he used to get big artists to come out. I remember when Eminem came out, uh, just Busta Rhymes, I think did like you'd see this like concert sheet and it'll have every big name that you grew up listening to, and you're like, wow.
That's cool.
And people would go out of their way to try and get like the tickets and stuff. And he held it right around Caravana, which is like one of big Toronto's biggest like international festivals for
Ooh,
Caribbean
that's what I
culture.
want to go to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge.
Wow.
And so Drake had an impact on the city for sure, because a lot of people probably didn't even know Toronto before Drake. And I'd say the biggest thing Toronto had going for it before Drake was Vince Carter.
Yeah,
Because
that's true.
That's a
The
very good point.
Raptors.
I actually
Yeah.
remember visiting my friends in Cincinnati once, and this was during the Carter era. And someone said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Oh, Toronto." They're like, "Oh, Carter City." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, Vince's City." And they're like, you know.
That's
So I
cool.
think
Yeah.
before Drake, no one really knew about Toronto other than Carter. And to that degree, I got to give Drake his flowers, man. He did put the city on the map, and he didn't shy away from saying, "Hey, I'm from Toronto. I'm holding it down for Toronto."
But you know
So
what's crazy?
Yeah.
Like everybody I know personally who been to Toronto says like the city is beautiful. Like they only have good things to say about Toronto when they visit. They like, man, Toronto is nice.
I think
I'm
it
like,
just falls into that whole, Canadians live in igloo stereotypes that so many people for the longest time used to just not understand where Canada was, like how far Canada is up north. It's like if
mm,
you're from Detroit, you know Canada because it's across the river. You see
yeah, I was
Windsor,
gonna say, yeah. And we
but
used to go over there like it was nothing. It really
yeah.
is.
But then if you grow up in like California, Canada is like a whole different world. So
And that's so interesting because we have a community member, one of my mods, he's from Canada, Anderson. He works for the film industry. I think is it near Toronto, DC?
Yeah, it's near Toronto.
I
He's
think
what he say? He stay a couple of hours out from
or
Toronto,
something.
I
Yeah.
believe.
So
Yeah.
he it's always interesting hearing like perspective because I remember one of the first conversations I had with him, he brought up Vince Carter. So it's always cool
yeah,
to
And he
just
loves basketball
yeah, he
too.
loves
So
basketball as well, and I mean it just seems like that was a big part of your just like DC said, you growing up and kind of shaped you into the person you are. We do have a question from chat too. Somebody wanted to know where the name Iron Bangle came from. Is it from Final Fantasy, like the item from
no.
Final?
So the name itself, I wear a bangle on my wrist as part. So six all wear bangles, iron bracelets on their wrists. Mine's just a little thicker, and so for me, I just thought this was a really cool name. And the reason we wear bracelet is when you become a Sikh, or if you adopt Sikhi as we say it, one of the things is uh, kind of like there's the theological way of saying it reminds us that like the bracelet doesn't break, and it's just one of those things that should remind you of God and doing good at all times.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and then practically Sikhs for the longest time historically were prosecuted to the point of near like elimination by like the various rulers of the time. So it's kind of also kind of like added armor and just having a weapon, another type of weapon on you. But yeah, so that's where the name comes from. Is
That's probably
always having an
the
iron bangle.
coolest. I think that's the coolest name description explanation we've got on the podcast. That is I mean, I just definitely learned something, man. I think that's
see,
really
and
cool.
this is
Yeah.
this is what we saying. The culture. When you learn about someone else's culture and their background and the things that they believe in, like these
Right.
are the moments that I really hold close to my heart because I'm like, didn't know that. So he shared that with us and everybody in the chat. And I know this is kind of weird to say, but what Marvel movie was that when, oh, what was her name? Miss Marvel?
Which one are you
So
thinking
now it
about?
has me thinking about because she had the bangles as well. Miss Marvel. Wasn't it Miss Marvel?
Oh, you talking about when she transforms her suit? It's like the energy bands, kinda. Is that what you're referring to?
Because they
Yeah.
kind of, yeah, so that made me think of that. And then it's
Sign
just
of
like,
power, man. Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah. So, Mr. Bangle, we all over the place, but I expected it.
Hey man,
I expected
that's
it
how
because,
that's how my
hey, you're
mind
an
works.
interesting guy.
My mind is always all over the place. We can hop around.
Yeah, so you have this content that you've been producing and you've been dropping it consistently. And I always ask our guests this because I feel like it's also important to know. how you manage your time. I watched one of your videos where
That's a great question.
there was a guy, and I get this all the time, and it makes me want to throw stuff at people. And it's just like, oh, well, y'all too old to be playing video games. But hear
Yes.
me out. Hold on. So, with that being said, I just want to know, and how can you share with us, people in the chat, you create at a consistent level. How do you, sir, manage your time? Like, how do you manage getting a little gaming in, dropping a little content? I see you with the little ones on the video. They're
Yeah.
jumping in, playing. Like, how do you balance being a family man and creating content and just kind of, getting a little Halo in, a little Call of Duty in? How do you balance it all?
That is a good question. I don't know if I have an answer that satisfies that. So it happened this year more than I've always been wanting to. I wanted to take my YouTube and make something more of it. So I
Yeah.
consciously made a decision this year that I got to release a video weekly.
Mhm.
Because I feel like if I didn't have that discipline or that target of, hey, I got to do at least one video weekly, I could go a week without doing one. All of a sudden, that week becomes a month. And I saw this is what happened in my YouTube in the past is I kind of get into it and then I would let myself get off it. So my
Mm.
goal this year has been one video a week for YouTube, uh,
Mhm.
and it can't just be like a stream VOD. Like it can be from stream, but it has to have some sort of searchability was a big thing, and some sort of focus. Uh, I started watching Moist Critical and some of these other commentators. I'm like, you know what? I like that style of content
Yeah.
because
Same.
Agreed.
I like talking about things. I have strong opinions. I would love to just sit here and uh, speak on it. So I was like, okay, that's going to be a thing I'm going to try to do. I can probably find one topic a week that I can push out. Where I found difficulty with that though was I when you turn the camera on, you get self-conscious about what you're going to say. So then I'm trying to make sure that what I'm saying is correct. I'll write out a script and then I try reading it.
Yeah.
Uh, and then that kind of people would give me honest feedback. They're like, listen, what you're saying is good, but it's not flowing. You don't have that. It's just not you. What you do on stream versus what you're doing in those videos, there's this putting like disconnect. So now I try to take topics and spit them more originally. And then part of trying to keep a video a week, I was like, well, now I want to learn how to golf, and I don't want to, not learn how to golf at the expense of trying to make time for this other stuff. How about I just turn golf into content?
Oh, put them
Uh,
together.
let's just double up down our time. Otherwise, I'd be trying to find time to carve out for certain things. So that's where the golf vlogs and stuff came from. Uh, but yeah, the goal has really just been one video a week. And now how I do that is if I'm not golfing, then I'll try to go back to the other type of content. But I also don't want to get bored of my content because then that makes it hard to do because that becomes a chore. So just trying
You
to have fun with
definitely
it.
don't want that, boy.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and
So
it's so awesome to hear your process. The one thing I will say that makes I think you're light years ahead of where you are in terms of creating consistent content versus the way you think about how you're gonna make it. And
mhm.
I think that's what's gonna keep putting you ahead with the ideas that you have.
Yeah.
You talked on establishing yourself a goal that you wanted to hit one video a week, which is very doable for a lot of people, especially if
We
you
do the same thing. Same thing
yeah
here.
if you schedule if you just like you said commit the time to do it and you remember to have fun. And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people to do when it comes to content because you have to you're watching number must go up or I'm not doing
Yeah.
good. You always have those.
The number is the biggest thing that I try not to look at because if I focus just on the number, I feel like it
Yeah.
can get discouraging. Um,
So
and I feel like if I
do you turn those metrics off typically? I'm always curious to know
100%.
how what people kind of do. Yeah, that's interesting.
So when I stream, I try not to look at the number because
Yeah.
when you stream to an empty chat or stream to zero numbers, you're like, what am I doing? But then you're like, no, you gotta like envision like pretend 100 people there, just keep. So when I started doing content, so this is where those Metal Gear streams kind of came in. I was
Yeah.
like,
That
well,
was awesome.
I want to play games.
Yeah.
I want to play games. I'm gonna talk. So now I'm doing games I want to do. I'm not getting stuck on a game, and then at least if no one's watching your streams, at least you're able to find content that you can turn into a VOD or turn
Right.
into a good like video after.
Yeah.
I think numbers, you got to be, like it's a double-edged sword. You want to know what your numbers are because you need to know where you can improve or what you can keep improving on. but you can't let the numbers dictate the content. At least my approach. Because if you want to make it big, yeah, you gotta like follow the trends. But at the same time, this is supposed to be a hobby. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
If I'm not having fun with it, then why do something that makes you miserable, right? So.
And it seems like you really, really. That's one thing I get from all the people, not just you, everyone content that I'm kind of drawn into is there is a joy in it. Like you don't never look like I've seen people content, I won't say any names, but you can kind of tell that they're trying to reach for a certain audience, or they kind of trying to do certain things because they think that this is going to get them a certain audience or a bigger audience. And when I look at your content, you look very poised. You're very knowledgeable about what you're talking about. You know, you look like you're having a great time. You know, you're totally immersed into what you're talking about, and that reflects, like, that's going to draw people in who really, really, really is here for the knowledge and whatever you're talking about. Because some people click on it and they be like, oh, this guy's not talking about nothing, blah blah blah. But I don't see it that way. Like, when I see certain stuff, I'm like, oh, let me click on this. Let me see what Iron Bangle's talking about. And then I'm just in there because it's like, oh, well, I never thought of it like that. And I encourage all content creators, please, like, find your niche. And I feel like the audience will surround you. Like, when the audience come and they connect with you, they're more likely to stay, because people can see when you're just, you know, I like to say acting. Like, there's a lot of people out there who just
100%.
literally look like they're reading from a cue card, and they're like, oh, okay, the hot topic, oh, Drake and Kendrick Lamar. I saw a lot of that. A lot of people were trying to get people to sub to their channels and stuff because you have a hot topic, then you're talking, but you don't know what you're talking about. Like, you don't know nothing about Kendrick, you don't know nothing about Drake, you just up here, you're regurgitating what other podcasters and stuff are saying. There's a lot of that in the music podcast media. There's a lot of people who just regurgitating the same stuff that mainstream people like academics or somebody, they're just regurgitating what he's saying, and it's nasty. It's nasty work out here, man. It's, you know, like,
I think it kind of hits on a couple of different points when it comes to that. You know, I think it's only part of it is, people are trying to get clout, you know, or, you know, want to be famous, and I think if you just look at examples, it seems like there's a few every year if someone goes viral and then they turn that into an influencer career. And I think everyone who even is semi-aware of content creators or influencers on TikTok or Twitter, you know, people think it just takes one video to blow up. And in some cases, for some people, it does, but you know, I found that the best approach is always kind of creating consistent stuff that you actually care about. You know, it's just like Bangle said, man, like, we as nerds love talking about the things we're interested in or passionate about.
For sure.
You know, I could spend, you know, years before we even started the podcast, I would always send DC, you know, another buddy of ours, just like news article stuff that's coming out. Hey, I think this is going to be pretty cool. And then that's how, you know, you kind of fall into the business side. And I think that, just like, you know, DC said, once you find that niche group of people that really are passionate about the stuff that you're making, that's when you really start to see growth. And I think you're, like I said, man, like you seem like you have a really good idea about what it is you want to make as far as content. Not everyone has that. And, you know, it seems almost analytical in a way, you know, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I wish it was as clear. My guiding philosophy is, if I'm not having fun doing something, or if I'm not gonna have fun talking about something,
right?
Don't talk about it. Because there's so many viral things that happen, and then you're like, oh, I can comment on that, but do I really care that much about this person? No. Oh, but then I'll see another video. I'm like, yo, that guy, like that guy who talked about, like you said, the guy who's like, you know, if you're at a certain age and you shouldn't. I was like, no, I got to comment on this one. I have something to say on this one.
I almost wrote a paragraph on that, boy.
That's how they get you, man. It's almost stuff is all kind of rage bait or clickbaity, and it kind of has to be clickbaity when people. I used to think clickbait was a bad word, but I've kind of come around to it. Like, if you use it in a way that intrigues the user to click on it, the video, I think that's a win.
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah.
Kanye West is in jail. I have the paperwork or something. People.
Yeah,
They
it's always this big bold,
bold
and
statement that
then
is
at
not
the
true
end of the
anyway.
video,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like 2 seconds of what their topic really was about. Like,
Right.
I hate those
and
videos. You click on it, and you
yes,
just
Yeah.
a build up, and you're like, you really told me nothing.
I think those clickbait videos are definitely the worst, man.
they need to just like, they need to
I wish
ban
there
them.
was.
Ban them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So like, it's always been don't chase something that's just for the sake of its virality.
Yeah.
Comment on it if you genuinely feel a way about it, which is
Mhm.
kind of my thing. Another thing that I kind of established was never punch down. Never go out of the way to create drama just for the sake of drama. Don't become like a drama tube or like, you know.
I like that.
Don't be someone who's creating drama for the sake of drama. And that was something I kind of thought about. My wife's like, listen, that's not the path you want to go. Because I did make one video that was pretty drama filled, and I was like, look, I didn't make it because it was drama. I made it because I felt a way about it. And she's like, as long as you can say you felt a way about it, that's cool.
Right.
And yeah,
And
don't punch down. That was another one.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I struggle with that myself because
Yeah.
I have a mouth that can go viral. So
Yeah.
Darius is like, it's like a yin and a yang over here. Darius has to reel me in sometimes, and even like it's stuff that I be wanting to say, but I have to rephrase it. Like,
Yeah.
I have a bad way of saying stuff wrong, but then when I look back, I'm like, I meant this, but in the heat of the moment, I kind of let it fly out. I'm doing better. I've been.
I mean, sometimes those things can be warranted, man. Especially when you get into the Twitter echo chamber that is the comment
And that's
section.
my problem.
You know what I mean? And it's
that's my
hard. It's
problem.
hard sometimes to. Just like I said, like you're passionate about. We're all passionate about certain things, and when people are speaking on those things we're passionate about, we as humans have the almost like innate just want to defend that thing that we care about. And I think sometimes people need to have their butts told to them. That's the best way I can put that. Sometimes people do need it, especially when it comes to like tribalistic thinking on things like console wars, typical men and women debates and stuff. Like, people get tribalistic over that stuff, and sometimes you gotta call the idiots out, man. I don't see nothing wrong with it as long as it's as long as it gets the point across. You know what I mean? Don't just be mad to be mad.
Look, Darius
that's how I
is the
feel.
peacekeeper.
Yeah,
Look,
I
let
try
me
to
tell
be
you something.
peaceful, man.
Let me tell you something. No. Let me get an ISO. Hold on. Because Darius is a level-headed person. So he, like, say if there's a comment, he'll drop a comment and be like, hey, this is this or this.
It's very rare people get me
And then
out
he'll
of
leave. But no. See, he'll disappear into the forest, never to come back. Now, my ass, on the other hand, if I say something, somebody reply to me, I got to reply back. Reply to me. I've argued with people on Reddit for hours. I'm ashamed to admit this. Twitter is my place of violence. But I'm getting better. I have to stop. Like, I wish that I had like the level-headedness that Darius had. He'll just post something, he'll float away. Like, he'll float on his little Nimbus cloud. He'll just float away.
Cause like it's such a time waster getting into it with people
Darius
online
like, oh,
that
he's
you'll
on
never. If it gets to a point where I know I'm not gonna convince them of not trying to change people's mind, but to just understand where I'm coming from as a person. I'm not saying you're wrong about something, but here's how I see it. I think that's just kind of been lost. I don't know if it's just me, but
no,
I
that's
agree
a
with
good
you.
conversation though. But
But
people
at some
don't
point
never
you gotta
want to
realize-
argue like that.
I think you gotta I think the thing about Twitter and in a lot of places is that I've been like you, DZ, where I want to double down on the conversation. At some point, you realize, yeah, this person is just not gonna get it. You know what? I'm gonna just start trolling them back, and that's when I just turn to like the gifs. I'm like, here's a gift for you. I don't have words.
Right. Or Darius could co-sign this. If my brother's still in the chat, me and my brother argue the worst.
oh man,
I
it's
think that's where we
insane.
get it from. Me and my brother will literally argue in the group chat all day. Everybody then put us on mute They like, oh God, I wish they'd shut the hell up.
I feel like
And
you have the
we-
exact same relationship I do with my brother because once we
We-
start going, people are like, "What are you guys even fighting about?"
Right, we had been and forgot
I was
what the
gonna say,
hell
you
we was
forget the
arguing
original
about.
point. Yeah.
Because I keep telling him to stop supporting Madden, but he swears there's nothing wrong with the game. But we'll talk about that later. If you in chat, don't you start. Don't start in my chat. I will boot you.
Well, you got the college football game coming out. I've seen you been
Yes.
showing love to that one.
Yeah, a lot of people are super excited, myself included, man. I think it's because football is in my opinion, it is the number one North
Darius,
American
I don't mean
sport.
to cut you off.
No,
I don't
you're
mean to cut you off, Darius. Hey, mods, can we get Jarhead up out of here? Go ahead and get him up out of here, bro. Hey, just because you family don't mean you can't get the block. All right, I'm sorry, Darius. Go ahead.
Nah, you're good, man. It's just funny, man. I forgot where I was. Oh my god, I just had a brain fart.
You were talking about NCAA football.
NCAA, yes. For a lot of people, like NCAA is like something that a lot of people grew up on. Like I said, I think American football. I'm not gonna say soccer. I know some people get mad when I say that. I think American football is like the biggest sport in North America. And it's just one of those things that people have been wanting this thing for years and years. And I've been kind of sending people tweets and stuff of it. It's cool to see because you don't really get a lot of that with sports games, anymore. I mean, I think the biggest game besides Madden nowadays, you don't have FIFA anymore. It's probably MLB. Because MLB hit Xbox, I think it was last year or the year before, but it's cool to see. I don't know. It's cool to see about sport. I don't know if you're into sports.
I love sports. I follow NFL as long as my team's in the survivor pool. Once I'm out,
What's your team?
the
Wait,
Bengals.
I was going to say
the Bengals.
I saw the profile pic. Why would I even ask that? I saw the jersey.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I never really had a football team growing up because I never followed NFL growing up, and then I had a friend whose cousins were from Cincinnati who I got really close with, and they're like, "What do you mean you don't have a football team? What do you mean you don't watch football?" And they got me like super deep into it. My brother-in-law actually, once upon a time, tried to get me into football, and it just didn't really click. But I met these guys from Cincinnati, and they were like hardcore Bengals fans. So I was just like, "Listen, I love
That's
you guys.
awesome.
I'm gonna take your team on, and I'll put them on my back." And then they didn't warn me about just how bad they were. So it was like, why do you guys give me this team? At least give me a team that can
No, but you
celebrate.
know what? I like that though because when
Yeah.
they come up, people can't say you were a bandwagoner.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then obviously, like I got into some of the personalities. So when I got into the Bengals, Ocho Cinco was playing for them. I'm like, well, at least they got Ocho Cinco as a personality. And yeah, I mean, Burrows is they had their one season. They made it back to the Super Bowl.
I think they're good. I think they're due to be good this year, man.
I've been hearing that for the last 20 years. This is their season. And I'm just
they
like,
just
you know
can't
what?
get over that Chiefs hump, man. That's all they
Like
gotta
Dallas, he sounds like a Dallas fan.
do. Right.
I'm just,
Hey,
I like,
I'm a Lions fan. I've been in the trenches, bro. I know.
hey, I was like, if I wasn't a Bengals fan, I'd probably be a Lions fan. I hate the Bills. I don't know why I hate them. I kind of do know why I hate the Bills. A lot of people from Toronto, they adopt the Buffalo Bills. And I was like, you know what, man?
Okay.
I don't like the Bills fan base. I don't want to go. For some reason, I was like, you know what? I had family in Detroit, so I was like, I'd rather go for the Lions. And the Lions have a sick jersey.
Hey, let's go.
Honestly,
Home team.
I feel like the Lions fan base is one of the few northern
tear shit
teams
up.
that. No, well, let me say this: like, you guys are at least respectful. Like Eagles
you never been
fans,
to a Detroit
Bengals.
game.
You
Wait,
know,
wait. Let me correct you right now. You never been to a Detroit.
but
game.
y'all not spitting on people, and
Oh, no, we're out of
cussing on-
control,
Y'all
trust
ain't.
me.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that.
Darius.
I don't know. I
Trust,
like
as a
Dan
person
Campbell
who
and what
used
he
to
doing. I
go-
don't know.
Oh, you talking about? Well, I don't know what they're doing now. You might be right.
I
They might
mean,
have calmed
yeah,
down.
that's what I meant now. Like now, you don't
I'm
really
talking
hear
about
like.
even when we was Dirk sorry, like, bro, man. Let me tell you,
I can
Lions,
imagine, man.
Oh man, it get rowdy. We can get loud. We can get crazy. I don't think we that disrespectful. You might be right.
Nah, man. Like I don't know. Like just
Back in the day, though, I do remember going to Lions game as a kid and beer getting tossed and people. Yeah, it used to get
I
wild.
mean, yeah, you got outliers, of course. Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, it's always interesting to see.
So
like,
how about those Falcons, brother?
hey, man, we're gonna do all right this year. We just one game at a time, man. Just make
man,
it work.
look,
Make
I
it work,
respect
please.
anybody who ride with their home team, man. And this guy,
It's been rough.
I've
man.
never seen the face of disappointment
since the Super
when it
Bowl,
comes
man.
to whatever Falcons do.
I'm a totally different person during the
Bangle,
season. That's all I'm gonna say.
Bangle, don't even call him. after a Falcons loss. Like, don't call him.
I don't want to talk to anybody on Sundays outside of this
No,
house.
I feel that I can respect that. So my relationship with sports is I grew up really, really into like
Yeah.
feeling the ups and downs of the teams and like
Right.
fighters that I was following, and I'm like, at one point I was like, dude, this is too much of an emotional investment for you. So I had to step back because I found that I got way too emotionally invested in things that I had zero impact on, and then it just started driving me crazy, just how much of like my brain would like suffer from it. So I was
Yeah,
like,
it's one thing. It's a hard thing to describe to people who aren't sports fans what it's like to be
Yeah.
one. Like you
But
are bracing yourself for heartbreak at least once a week for like
right,
months.
right. But you know it felt good. Like once we got to the playoffs, I never felt so relieved
Yeah.
because every game after that, we just didn't care.
yeah,
It was
'cause
one of those. We're so happy to be here that we just like even when we lost the last game, we didn't care. Like they was like, "Oh, Dan Campbell, this man." All the fans was like, "Hell, we wasn't supposed to make it that far." Like nobody. We was like, "Hey, we just happy to be here."
Shout
But
out
I
to
think
Dan,
this
man.
year, I think that's going to change. That happy to be here, that shit is gone.
You only
Now
get
we're
one season of that.
expecting.
Yeah, so that's where it gets dicey, right? Because like I just had that last week. I was following the Canadian men's soccer team, and they got to the semifinals, and everyone was like, "Oh," or quarterfinals, and whatever. And it was like crazy hype, and everyone was like, "I'm like, listen, I love it, but I'm just happy that they're doing good."
Right. Is this you
Right.
just
You
happy
know,
happy that they're making an effort to
that there's some
not
sort
ruin your
of
week?
growth going on. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Give
Now
me
wait a
something fun
minute.
to watch.
We got to reel it back in here. See, this is why we love having great guests. But I want to reel it back in a little bit because we all over the place. I want to know also, how does your family like feel about what you do as far as like the content, like your the wifey, the kids, like even I don't know how old your kids are, but do they know what you do? Are they so interested in what you do or
Um, I think it's generally just don't do anything stupid.
don't
You know,
embarrass us?
Yes.
Like
don't
Yeah.
embarrass us. They're like,
totally
if you're gonna,
understand.
so if you're picking a topic, pick it, but don't pick something that like obviously they're like just recognize that there's gonna be blowback on
Right.
the family, even if it's not yet. Maybe your kid grows older. You don't want him to be like, "Oh, hey, I found a clip of your dad doing
Oh
saying this
goodness
or doing that." Right?
gracious. That's a
So I was
good
like,
That's
all right.
point.
true.
So that's something in my mind. My kids, I don't really think they really understand it or know it. They know that I have a camera set up, and sometimes my kids like playing Lego. He's like, "Can you record this?" And then I'm like, "All right, recording," and he'll do is like, "All right, let me give you a tour of my new Lego house that I just built."
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
so
"That's pretty
cool.
cool." My other kid doesn't know. He comes to my office. He's on phone, and if like OBS is still open, he'll look at the phone, the mic, he'll look at the camera and be like, "Yo, yo, yo, yo."
That's awesome, man.
But yeah, generally it's kind of like, you know what, if it's keeping him happy and
Yeah.
it's passing his time, as long as he's not going out and creating drama for no reason that's gonna fly back at us, by all means,
Right.
have fun. My wife, she's generally supportive of
That's awesome.
when I buy new tech gear. It's kind of like, okay, just don't, we have bills to pay, so don't kill it all. Like
But
Right.
that's
I'm
the
like,
thing, though. I'll say it every time we have a guest. I'll say it over and over again. I don't think content creators survive without their significant other. Every content creator we've talked to, like their significant other is like 100% in. Like they give them the space, the time. They pretty much
Yeah.
say the same thing. Like, hey, if it ain't messing with the family income, if you're not breaking the bank and we missing out on bills, and I'm all for it. And I think that's great because I feel like everyone needs their space to have their hobbies, and you
Yeah.
don't always have to do things together. Like I'm pretty sure your wife has things that she's into that you kind of like look at and like, that's cool, whatever, and you go your own way. But
I think she
supportive
appreciates that.
spouses are amazing, and I'm always going to shout y'all out.
Yeah, no, I think she appreciates that she has her time to watch like Bridgerton while I'm upstairs, gaming. So it's like, look, it works out both ways.
That's awesome.
And then come weekends, it's like, all right, weekends are with the kids, just going out, hanging out, making sure that they get their time.
Yeah.
And I think it's just being measured and being mature about it. It's like,
For
for me,
sure.
I always like to say, this is a hobby right now. It'd be nice if it could become more, but at the same time, I got a great job. I'm not trying to make it to the point where I would love to be. I mean, I think every creator would be more than happy to go full time if it made sense and they
Right.
could get there. But same time, like, look, just have fun with it. Don't prioritize this over other things that actually matter, which are obviously family, friends, stuff like that. So
That's awesome,
Yeah,
man.
I think that's amazing, man, because you have that support system, and I 100% agree. The reason why we do this, it just started from a genuine love of just talking about the gaming industry. Like we used to have these conversations before the podcast, like all the
yeah,
stuff we talk about, like the gaming news. Like this was before the podcast. Like me and the homies, we all sit together. Hey, did you see this? Did you see that? And then one day I was just like, yo, like maybe we
we're
should just
talking.
put this in a podcast format. Like
I think
let's just
that's
have fun with it.
I think that's the greatest way to start something is if you're genuinely interested and it doesn't become a chore or it's not
Yeah.
going out of your way to like fake it like
Hmm.
you said earlier. But some people just doing it because they realize, oh, this is an in topic. Let me get my 2 cents in on it so I can capture something. If you're genuinely into something, I think it's just beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I just want to point a point out real quick too, Darius, like what he said about, his wife saying, long as we don't get any blowback, kind of watch what you said because
Yeah.
I kind of
Agreed.
went off on the deep end on Doctor Disrespect and got a ban on Twitter.
Yeah.
So
Spent some time. He spent
What
some
was
time
that?
in
I had
Twitter
to,
jail, man. I forgot
man,
about that.
I
I
got,
saw that you were in Twitter jail, but I couldn't figure out
yeah,
for
it
what.
was, I was talking about Doctor Disrespect, nasty ass, and
He went a little too
Diddy.
far on the
Him and
lever.
Diddy,
That's all.
I went a little, I ain't gonna lie, I went a little haywire. I lost it. And Twitter humbled my ass.
Give him a little tap on
And
the wrist with the
it's
ruler.
like, hey, buddy, reel it in. But that made me reflect on it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
And in the long term, like when I look back on it in hindsight, I'm like, okay, I'm glad they did block that because this is your digital footprint. Like
For
that's
sure.
going to be on the internet forever. So in a way, I'm kind of thankful that Twitter, did take it down. I ain't happy about the ban. You could have just took it down, but I was just on some like I don't deal with like wife abusers and pedophilia. I feel a strong way about it, like
Yeah.
anyone should, but
Yeah.
I just worded it incorrectly. So yeah, you got to think. I want content creators to have integrity as well, and think about your digital footprint. Think about what you're putting out into the world because it's there forever. Like once you put it on the internet, it's there forever. So I just want people to be conscious of what they say, or rather, how they say it. So
Yeah.
I
No,
think
I
that's
think
an important point to get on.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you. And it's the digital footprint thing that's crazy. You don't really realize just how much it's there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just saw Devious Minds in the chat. Shout out Devious. Devious has been a great supporter.
Hello.
Uh,
Thank you for stopping by today, Devious. Hello.
and yeah, he's a actual producer. Like that's his full time gig. And
Oh,
Nice.
we
nice.
grew up, and then yeah, he does hip hop beats. This guy's he's one of the few people I can say like, if I have any industry question about like what's going on in the industry, like Devious, explain this to me, explain that to me. Um,
That's
he's done
fire.
work with Rob Markman and some other big artists. So
Nice.
Thank you for stopping
Uh,
by, man. And yes,
I got
fuck
some
Doctor
bars for you if
Disrespect.
you want to hear them. I'm just saying. I don't know. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
but
But
no, there's definitely a digital footprint, something you got to be cognizant about. So sometimes I see that
mm-hmm.
I'm like, is this something that I'm willing to? The way I measure it is I'm going to say something, and someone from HR could potentially at one point want to bring me in and talk to me about it. Is this something I'm willing to
Exactly.
go
Oh
up to bat for?
man.
So I always pick I always pick my topics carefully now.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially
is,
working in tech, right? Like I can
for
imagine.
sure.
Oh, my job. A lot of people from my job listen to the podcast. So, like, I want to be authentically me. They know me,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but you still got to kind of, because companies look at that. They're like, yo, you're a representation of us. So if they
for
find
sure.
out that you work here, they're going to be looking at us. So you
Yeah,
got to kind of take that into consideration. And I do. That's why I scale back on a lot. There's been times where I've done things and I've completely scrapped it because I'm like, I don't want this out here. Like, because my thing is create something and then I sleep on it. Then I watch it. And when I watch it with a fresh set of eyes, I'm like, I don't think this is conveying the message that I want to put out there. So I'm gonna scrap this. Even with like the Eminem, the little 20-minute clip I did on Twitter for the Eminem album, of like it started off. Darius could tell you because like the tweets were a little wild. I was just like, you know what? I'm sick of this shit. You know what, Em? I'm tired of you.
Because
and then I was like, I listened and I was like, okay, let's scale it down a little bit. Let's make it palatable. So, what you were saying, Darius?
Nah, yeah, I mean it's y'all both hit the nail on the head, man. Especially, how many times have we seen somebody say something egregious online and the community, the greater internet as a whole finds out where they work. They'll report them, and then you hear about this person losing their job for being a jerk on the internet. Man, it's
Or
always.
check this out. Iron Bangle blows up. He's the greatest guy ever. They gonna go back and find some tweets. There's people specifically, I call them tweet hunters. They'll go back and pull something from 1984. Iron Bangle said he hates blah blah blah. Like,
I mean,
dude,
and
I was
it's
14.
dangerous too, man. Like, look at what happened to Sketch. I'm not sure if you guys.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that whole situation with his past, something from his past coming back. And shout out to the people he had around him, because in the video where he explained everything, he talked about his mental health issues and how he was not expecting that to come out, and the things that he may or may not have done if he was alone. And that that's something that I wanted to talk to you about too before we run out of too much time, Bangle, is how do you kind of deal with the mental health aspect of being a content creator, of putting yourself out there? Like, do you ever kind of struggle with things like that in your day, even if not in content creation, but just like your day to day?
Yeah, for sure. I think we all do. That's a loaded question. I don't. So mental health, I try not to look at the numbers. Try not to focus on them. I do.
Yeah.
Like, I put a video and I'm on YouTube Studio just refreshing. I'm like, so anyone else watch this? Did I get? And then sometimes I gotta pause myself. Like, what are you doing? Put your phone down.
Yeah.
Don't let the numbers drive what your worth is, because so much of what we do sometimes feels like it's numbers driven. And then take a step back. Why am I doing this? Like, I have a whole mental dialogue. I always say sometimes I'm like 2 notches away from being schizophrenic, where I'm like constantly talking to myself, and explaining things to myself. I'm like, listen, if you're doing this for, as a thing, do it for what you're doing it. What's your intent behind it? I think I won't say I hit a really mental low. It's when you start streaming every night consistently, I felt that wasn't healthy at all.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing one game and you're trying to just make it in one game. So now I like switching it up and playing whatever comes, whatever is fun. And so that's the question I ask. Don't do it.
Yeah.
There's topics where I'm like, I want to make a video on this, and then y'all feel some sort of reluctancy, and I'm like, well, if you're feeling some sort of reluctancy, why are you fighting that? Just find something else that's fun. So, like, recently I was like, you know what, I want to play. I haven't had time to stream just because it's summer. I'm out. I'm trying to pick up golf and stuff.
Yeah.
So the same games that I want to play. I wanted to be doing Metal Gear Solid 3 playthrough and some other games, and I'm like, well, let's pivot a little bit. Let's find something else that we can do gaming wise. So I found like that 1v1 thing I did a bit of, and like, okay, that was fun. And just trying to constantly explore new concepts. I think the way I combat the mental health rut is just remind myself, if you're doing it for fun, what is fun? Do that. Never make it feel like I have to do this. So it's never like I have to put a video out. But if I could put a video, what would that video be this week? Is it something you've never done before? Just do it. Even if it's not what you've been doing. And so, yeah, that is more or less how I've kind of approached the mental health aspect. Yeah. And I've always said, never feel guilty about not being able to stream. Because I know as a streamer, if you've been streaming for so many days, I always felt like, okay, well, I'm not going to stream today. Oh, man, I hope that doesn't... I don't know. I didn't think it was going to make the audience feel like a certain way, but it made me feel a certain way when I wasn't streaming. So I was like,
giving yourself grace, man. That's something that people don't do enough of, man. I'm glad that that's something that you touched on. And, just like you said, everyone kind of deals with different aspects of mental health, and that's something that we try to constantly keep at the forefront. The podcast and stuff that we talk in week and week out, especially when we have guests. I mean, you look at the way the world is now and all the crazy things that are happening, and trying to be a father on top of that, and a husband, and pay bills, and do the thing that you love when you have time to is you have to protect that, and like I say, give yourself grace and be nice to yourself, and that's
for sure. And I think it's a hard thing. It's easy to say give yourself grace, right? But
right.
There was times where I'd be like, you know what, I need to stream today. It's my day to stream,
Right.
but I feel miserable doing it, and I'm like, I really don't want to be here right now. And
you're not giving your best self, and people can see that too.
Yeah, and then people don't hang around when you're kind of in that funk, and I'm like, you know what, I just want to go downstairs and watch My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
So now I've always said, if I'm not feeling it, man, I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I don't need to do this. People who do it full time, they're in a different boat, right? They got to find a way to turn it on and make it work, because it is work for them. It pays bills. But if it's a hobby, my constant, like I said this so many times now, is if it's not going to be fun, you don't push yourself. It's not going to the gym. Like, there's certain things you got to do regardless of how you feel. You got to go to the gym or something, or that even if you're not totally into it. Streaming, gaming, I felt like, you know what, even if I'm not into playing this game right now, just don't. It'll be there tomorrow. So
that's awesome.
Here's a little trick. Here's a little trick for chat. If you don't feel like going to the gym, just act like you got a week to train before the final boss shows up and blow up the planet. That's what I do, and I'll be like, hey,
that's actually
it's
cool.
To me.
I like that.
Oh boy, my mental gym tricks are crazy. Matter of fact, I'm gonna make a list on Twitter.
I gotta save
I'm
the earth.
I'm the ultimate trick myself into the gym person. I can get y'all motivated.
That's so funny.
I like that, but at the same time, I'm also the super. Yeah, but I could just find a way to like.
But don't you feel so good once you leave though? Like
I've never felt bad leaving the gym.
Yeah.
I like to push. Yeah, I'm kind of weird. I like the pain of the gym. Now, to get to the gym is kind of hard. Like, I have to hype myself up. But according to my doctor, I'm getting better, but I have to get healthier because I'm an old man. I'm only getting older. So take care of yourself, Chad. Yeah, we got to take care of ourselves.
I'm like, you know what? I need to start getting back to the gym consistently.
I mean, golf is a workout, though, man.
It's a workout.
I didn't realize it until I got older, man, how much of a it is a true sport, and I see why people get injured so easily playing it, because you're using muscles and stuff that you don't use in other sports and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's
you
insane.
could easily injure yourself in golf.
I think, and I've seen that, right? Like I've had, I was like, my elbows hurting. I'm asking, like, do your elbows hurt when you golf? You're like, if your elbows are hurting, that means you're not doing things right. Make sure you're review what is you're doing. I'm like, all right,
yeah.
So golf's interesting, man. I don't know how deep we want to get into it, but I definitely recommend getting into golf or learning golf. But I also say be careful for learning golf, because it is.
We're gonna have a little. I got you, Bangle. We're gonna have a golf outing. Where's my brother at? You always got something to say. Where the hell you at?
That'd be a good time.
We're gonna have a golf outing, and we're gonna go live. We're gonna record it.
That's gonna be it. That's gonna be a video for the ages.
How wild it gets.
Golf I don't know if this is true, but I feel like if you're into tech or if you're into gaming and you're into puzzles, golf becomes an ultimate puzzle.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
There's so many pieces, and just when you think you got one piece down, another, it's like another lever that opens up. So it's a tricky thing, but I think because of my personality and the way I approach video games and bosses and trying to figure things out, just trying to hack it, trying to figure out what is it that I'm doing wrong. Oh, that. And even if it's frustrating in the moment, when you get to the next step, you're like, oh, that's cool.
And then you're Tiger Woods and you're winning the Masters, man. That's how it goes.
Man, I had to tell myself, like, listen, you're not Tiger Woods. You're not trying to make the PGA Tour. Just make sure you go out there and clown around. Like sometimes, because golf it's a 4-hour outing sometimes, right?
Oh wow.
So when you're out there, at about hour 2, I'm like, the fatigue's setting in.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to be careful who you're with. You're like, you know what? Let's just make it fun. Let's crack jokes. Let's search.
Let me ask you this though: how many people pass y'all when y'all out there?
Last time depends who I'm out with. I've had friends who are really good golfers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Will be like, listen, we're playing too slow. You just got to pick up your ball and walk with us here. Um, and then I play with some friends who are not so good, and we just let anyone who wants to pass us. We're like, go ahead. We're not stressed about it.
Yeah, we did the same thing when I was golfing with my brother because, and then the people were nice. They knew, like, because
Yeah.
you had the people out there who've been out there for ever, you know, damn near pro, and they saw us like, and they was just like, oh, you know, giving tips. Like people were genuinely like just nice. Like they wouldn't like, get the hell out of the way. What are you doing?
That's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, I've met people who are very stressful golfers, and then I've met people who are really chill golfers, and I find that I'm myself a very chill golfer. So
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, if you're gonna go ahead, I'm not worried about time. Go ahead, play through me.
Out there for the good time, man, and that's how you stay
Yeah.
fit, man.
Also,
Health
I'll
is
tell
wealth,
you this
man.
too. You'll meet the most interesting people playing golf.
I believe it.
You'll meet. That's where you meet the billionaires and people who wearing turtlenecks in like 90-degree weather. Like
golfing at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday or something. Yeah.
Man, yeah, people in the sweltering heat. I honestly, I surprise myself waking up at 6 a.m. sometimes. I'm like, what am I doing waking up 6 a.m. to go walk around on an open field? This makes no sense, especially when you know you're not breaking any records or anything. But
Yeah.
then honestly, it's a great company game. Like it's a great game to go out, learn, talk to someone, meet someone. Me and my friends were like, you could podcast golfing. It'd be a nice.
Oh, I'm surprised no one's done that yet. That's actually really cool.
There you go, Bangle. You and your homies, man.
golfing and potting at the same time. You just get some
You're
little lav
cooking.
mics.
Hey,
Yeah, that'd be
Put
fire.
that idea in the back of your head. Presented by Super Weapon. I'm just saying, Super Weapon Media is here for you.
That's actually really cool, man. That's awesome, man. Well, as always, man, it just never seems like there is enough time in the day to have, especially with it when we have great guests like you on, man. I do want to thank you for taking the time out today,
Hey, man, it's always a
for being
pleasure.
here, man. It was definitely a joy to have you on. I feel like we only just scratched the surface of your story, and just like DC said, man, we definitely need
We
to
never even
have you
got into
back.
the Halo and Xbox stuff.
Yeah.
Because it was like just a casual like
no.
I love having a casual conversation. Like I'm just kicking it with the homie, like he right here in my face, and we just
Yeah.
chopping it up, having a beer. And you're absolutely right. There's the game inside that we didn't really get to this time. But
Yeah.
next time for sure, I know you deep off into those Halo streets.
Hey, man, we might just have you
Call of
on a
Duty.
regular episode where we talk about some news. I think that'll be fun.
Hey, man.
To have you on.
Give me a shout. I would love talking to you guys. Super fun. Love what you guys do. And yeah, I love listening to you guys whenever you guys get into those gritty, businessy. Let's figure out why the platform is making these decisions.
We got to stay in a loop because I do like it's not. I know we've said it a billion times, but the content that you provide, I think there's a level of integrity to it. There's a feel to it to where it doesn't feel like, you know, you're chasing trends.
Mhm.
You're doing what you genuinely love to do. And I think that says a lot because
Yeah.
I stand on integrity. Like we're never going to just click bait and chase. Like we talk about topics that may be hot, but it's genuinely a topic that's in the gaming sphere that we want to talk about.
Stuff we're interested in 100%.
Yeah, and I feel like you do that well. We want to see more of your content. I have to do better at. I have to schedule you guys on my YouTube chart because there's so much content from my friends that I watch, including Beezy, who's in chat. I watch a lot of his YouTube. He just
Yes,
beat.
man. Shout out BZ.
Shout out to Beezy for being the new Elden Lord. He just beat the DLC. Props to that guy.
I can't
I
wait
watched
to
him
play Elden
struggle.
Ring. I've been seeing you guys do your Elden Ring clips, and I've seen BC's YouTube.
Elden Ring
stuff,
is
and I'm
nuts,
just like,
man. It's a.
I'm like,
awesome
I got into
time.
this thing where I wanted to play games and play them hard.
Yeah.
First try, and I'm like, Elden Ring seems like that's the perfect game to do it at. But then I see
Yeah.
people's play time for those games are 300 hours. I'm like, dude, that's 2-year venture for me at this point.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, the good thing about
Hello,
Elden Ring,
Avi.
you can explore as much as you want. There are like
Yeah.
main bosses to get to, and it's just one of those games where you. I don't like to give this like term out a lot, but I really do think Elden Ring is a once in a generation game. Like I do think it hit that status for me, and I think it has for a lot of people, man. And Yeah, I think we definitely should have you on for a normal episode, especially we're gonna be talking a lot about Xbox next week with this whole Game Pass
Oh,
fiasco.
the price change.
Yeah,
Yes,
we
I'm so
we
interested
definitely
to get
got a lot to catch up on, man. But before we get out of here, man, do you have any like projects, any shout outs? We love to give
Open the floor.
open the floor for our guests, man. So anything, anyone, you want to give love to, man, the
Hey,
floor is
man.
yours.
I mean, much love to you guys for doing what you do. Keep doing what you do. I think it's great. I've always been a fan of what you guys do. So when I retweet your episodes, because I genuinely watch your episodes, I really enjoy that stuff. So much love to you guys.
Thank you.
Devious in the chat, man. If you guys don't know Devious, by all means, go check this guy out. He's been a great supporter, and he's been a great friend. And known this guy since he was a little kid. He's my little brother's friend growing up. I remember this guy, and he'd
That's cool.
come over, and yeah, man, check out his content if you're not checking him out. His YouTube is like filled with thousands of like beats and stuff. Dude killing it. And yeah, man, that's just appreciate all the kind words.
Absolutely, man. Thank you again, Bangle. This definitely won't be the last time we have you on, man. You're actually our first DC. I think he's our first international guest.
Hey, let's
If I think about it, I don't know why that just popped in.
Yeah.
He is your first international guest, man. So
Canada, stand up.
Canada, stand
Let's
up,
go.
man.
Wait, where are you from again? Is it
Brampton.
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 Shout out to
stand-up,
Brampton,
yeah.
man.
Brampton, stand up. No, we not doing Toronto. We representing the big B's up in here. What are you talking about?
Yes, indeed, man. But yeah, this definitely won't be the last time that we see you around here, man. I appreciate you once again. If you guys are listening to the audio version, man, we do record this podcast live every Saturday, usually at 11 a.m. Guest time varies, but make sure you guys follow us everywhere on Super Weapon, man. I don't really have a lot. You guys can follow me on Twitter. Darius the Artist E is a 3, and Darius the Artist everywhere else. DC, go ahead and take us home. Baby.
Oh, right, baby. It's about time we take it on home over here. First of all, big, stupid, big fat shout out to the legend,
Lord
Iron Bangle.
Yes, sir.
Go check him out. If you love what he's putting down, give him that sub, that follow, that like, that whatever. Show some love, show some support. It doesn't always have to come in the form of money. Just show the man love, get him in the algorithm, and let's lift each other up. Me, on the other hand, go check out my little clip that I put down about Eminem album if you're curious to know what I think about the album. And what else we got here? Oh, you already streamed, so we're not doing that.
Yes, this is the end of the stream.
Okay, this is going to be the end, and I definitely want to extend the olive branch to our good guy, Iron Bangle. I love his format. I love the way he puts it down. We got to have him back because I literally have a list here, and I didn't ask none of the damn questions on my list. So we're definitely going to have him back.
100%.
And I'm going to see Long Legs tonight with a friend.
Oh my gosh.
And I heard it was really good. And if I'm not scared, I'm going to be pissed. I'll be talking about that on Twitter as well. Once I watch it, I'll be dropping another little video talking about that movie because I'm a little apprehensive because Nicolas Cage, the Crow guy, is in it.
Oh, God.
But yeah, that's all I got, guys. Have a good Saturday. Try to stay warm.
Yeah.
To all my people in Houston, I have a lot of friends in Houston who are struggling right now. It's hot as hell. They don't have power. They're in dire need of assistance. So if you guys could just look up a few places that's doing water donations, do that. I had that somewhere around here, but I'm horrible. I'm going to post that on Twitter as well. But shout out to all my people in Houston. Hold it down. Try to stay cool. Hey, Houston Power, get that shit together, man. Goddamn. All right, we out.
All right, guys. On that note, that's the end of the episode 197, man. Thank you guys for hanging out. Have a good Saturday, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.